What's up, guys? Today I'm going to share the 5 things that you do not need to have in place for you to be a good entrepreneur. But before we get into it, please go ahead, hit that subscribe button, like and share our content. Thank you. Today the conversation that I want us to have is on the things that people think, maybe they're kind of myths that people think that you have to have in place for you to maybe excel at entrepreneurship or start something that you think God has been putting on your heart, as a source of income. And you always hear people say, when I become this, when I become this, or when I get enough money, when I get all these things in place, then I will start out on entrepreneurship. But I'm here to today to maybe say just 5 things that I think that you really don't need to have in place for you to set out or start out on entrepreneurship. Personally, I follow these things, and I want us to have that conversation because I think it kind of limits people from doing what God has called them to do, because always waiting for the perfect timing, always waiting for all these things to align up so that they can step out into what God is calling them to do. And the first thing is that I think that actually you really don't need to have in place for you to excel or to start at entrepreneurship is the perfect idea. Having the perfect idea. People always think you have to see it for 3 months and however much time it is. It might not even just be 3 months, but it might, you have to be thinking about something for a very long time. But also you must be really, really sure that this is the perfect idea that is going to make me millions. And I want to differ from that and say, really, you perfect the idea that you start with. That there is no such a thing as the perfect idea. The perfect idea becomes perfected when you started with, let's say, a good idea. I think that's what people need to be focusing on. That all you need to have is a good idea, an idea that can solve a real problem. Something that you think there's a gap, and you say, okay, I've been seeing people needing this service. I've been seeing people needing this product, and I don't have all the things in place, but I think there's something here. Yeah, there's no such a thing as a perfect idea, because perfect ideas they started out as good ideas that were perfected into perfect ideas. I don't know if that's making sense, but all I'm saying is all you need to have is a good idea, an idea that can solve a problem. Because you might think this is the perfect idea, and then get ahead and actually find out that you need to pivot, and then find out that, oh, this perfect idea actually is not what people want. People want something else. That the idea that you had, that you thought that was really perfect, that within that idea there's actually what people are actually looking for, not what you started out with. That's what I'm trying to say, that you really do not need to have a perfect idea. All you need to have is a good idea, and start out with that good idea and grow it before it can become a perfect idea. Number 2 is perfect conditions. People fear getting into entrepreneurship because they are always waiting for the perfect conditions, such as having more money, having more time, having better resources. But I always tell people, start with what you have. That's why in my previous video that I was sharing, that starting small, that the advantage of starting small is you start with what you have. You don't need all this money to start, and so that will eliminate the idea of thinking I need to have like a perfect condition. I mean all these things need to align up to start out in entrepreneurship. You might never find that time where everything aligns up perfectly so that you can start, because then if it's not always money, it's always time. If it's not time, it's always another resource. If it's not a resource, it's the skills. There is always a place that you are lacking, if I may use that word. That there is always a place of insufficiency. And I think that's actually the beauty of entrepreneurship. That when you start with what you have, all these other insufficiencies, you get to know how to work around them so that you can excel at entrepreneurship. And so I want to encourage you that you shouldn't wait for a perfect, for the perfect conditions for you to start out in entrepreneurship. I know there's something that God has already put on your heart that you've been thinking about, but of course, you think about the comfort zones that you're in, you think about the salary that's coming every month, you think about all these things, and then you say, I think for me to start, I need to have a lot of savings, I need to have a lot of money, I need to have a lot of time, because right now I don't have time. Right now you'll never have enough time, you'll never have enough resources, enough. When you start with what you have, then you learn to work around those conditions that will eventually lead you to creating more. And so don't wait for the perfect conditions. Number 3 is permission or validation. I always see people asking before they start up something, they want people to first agree with them. Hey, I'm thinking of starting this business, I'm thinking of doing this, what do you think about? Always asking people, what do you think about this business, what do you think about this business? And within that also, there comes some people who are naturally critics. There comes people who are naturally negative, and they will always tell you, oh, I know 3 people who failed in that business. Oh, you don't have enough. That kind of business needs a lot of money to start. That kind of business only is for a certain race. That kind of business is only for certain kinds of people who are born like this. When you need a lot of permission and validation from people, it's going to hinder you from starting, because then you'll always wait for people to affirm or confirm with you so that you can start. And that's not a good way. That's not a good way to start out in entrepreneurship, because then the moment that you feel like giving up along the way and ask people, guess what they will tell you? They will tell you, yeah, you know what, I think this is hard for you, you should quit, because you are always waiting for validation and permission to hear from people. I always tell people, once you feel that your gut is telling you to stick by a little more, then follow your gut, because people will always be different will always give different views and different ideas based on their experiences. Simply because something really didn't work out for that person doesn't mean that it's not going to work out for you. And so when you seek for validation and permission from people, it hinders you from starting out at entrepreneurship. Think of the idea that you have right now. Is it a good idea? Is it a good idea? Is it an idea that you think is going to solve a problem? And instead of consulting 100 people, get 2 people that you think, get a coach, a mentor, or talk to a coach or a mentor. Get someone, and of course I'm not saying that you shouldn't do research and try to figure out the ins and outs of that business. But what I'm saying is, don't consult so many people, because then you'll get into paralysis of analysis, because you'll have so many ideas. This person is telling you don't start, this other person is telling you that's a good idea, this person is telling you that business is tough, this other person is telling you this business is killing it, it's making money. Who will you listen to? Ultimately, you need to come back to yourself and sit in that quiet place and decide for yourself and say, you know what, I'm either going in or I'm not going in. Because every time consulting people and looking for their permission and waiting for them to give you a go ahead, listen, you don't need people's permission, you don't need people's validation. Just go ahead and start. The other thing is waiting to do or perfect that business plan. I don't even know where people get these ideas. Oh, I need to perfect my business plan for me to start out at entrepreneurship. Listen, you don't need a perfect business plan. There's no such a thing as a perfect business plan, because you soon you'll find out that the minute you start your business with that business plan, 3 months down the road, you'll find out that you actually have to change so many things in that business plan. And also, what if you spend a lot of time on a business plan, and then 6 months or 1 year into the business, you figure out that's not actually what you really wanted? What do? you spent a lot of time, you spent 6 months designing a business plan, and then now you get into that business and find out, okay, I'm actually not really interested in this. What do you do? Of course, now you're going to change, and so, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't, do a bit of planning, but I'm saying taking a lot of time and putting all the pieces, thinking that every piece that you put together is going to work out just like that. No, you don't. For people, especially this is for people who have limited resources. This is for people who are starting out small. You don't need a business plan. If you're going to start out in baking, and start from your kitchen home and do baking, and and give out to 5 people and see if they like it. If they like it, do other free samples, take to a mall and give out to people if they like it, like that. And so that saves you time from sitting for 3-4 months of sitting and coming up with a business plan and saying, I'll make three cakes, and then these 3 cakes I'll give them to my friends, and then I'll make 15 cakes, take them to the shopping mall. You're wasting time with the business plan. Business plans are for people who are already having maybe let's say for people in startups, for people who are already having like a running business, but they need some more capital in their business. And then you have to prove, from investors, then you have to prove to them, this is my business plan, and this is how I'm planning to use the investment that I get from you, or a bank those are the people who need business plans. But if you're just a one-man show, if you're starting out as one person, and you don't need 4 employees, and you have a simple product, you have a simple service that you're offering, you don't need to spend months designing a business plan. Just start with what you have, because business plans always change. There's no business plan that has gone through like everything, that how you started, how you planned it, how that you're following everything to the T. They always change, and sometimes you get ahead and you find out, okay, this business plan is trash. Actually, I need to make a new business plan. And so if you're just like a one-man's show, if you're just starting out alone, you don't need to wait for all that while. Just start. The other thing that people think that you have to have in place for you to start out at entrepreneurship is that you need to have all the skills in place. That you need to have leadership skills, you need to have marketing and sales and accounting and IT. You to be an expert in all these things, so that you can start out at entrepreneurship. Nope. That's not actually true. You do not need to have all these skills in place for you to be good at entrepreneurship. Personally, IT is not like my strength, but even though I try to do 1 or 2 things here and there, I know for sure, I need someone to help me with that. And so what you do is, usually you start out with what you're good at, and then with time you start delegating, you start outsourcing people who have the skills that you don't have. All you need to do is, you need to know your strength and your weaknesses. This is what I'm good at. I am good at sales. I am good at marketing. I am good at bringing people together and bringing a team together, like building a team. I'm good at finances, resource management, whatever that you're good at. Always leverage that strength and then outsource skills that you are weak at. If you're weak at IT or accounting, outsource. You don't need really to bring in that person as your employee, but you can always get someone. There are so many websites that people sell their free time for those skills for a fraction of the cost. And so that's how you get to start. You don't need to be an expert in all these skills so that you can start out at entrepreneurship. And so these 5 things that I've just shared, personally, I follow them, I practice them. I rarely wait for when I think of getting into it, something, a venture, business idea, whichever business it is that I think that I've been thinking about of starting, I never wait for the perfect idea. I always say, okay, is this a good idea? Are people making money in this idea? Can it solve a problem? I do a bit of research here, but I always don't wait for the perfect, like, okay, this is the perfect idea. I don't wait for perfect conditions, because I know there will never be a perfect conditions. I'll never have enough money to do whatever that I think I need. I'll never have enough time. These resources, I don't wait for people's permission and validation to allow me to do what I think I need to get into, whichever business. I don't waste time on business plans. If I know that I'm not going to look for investors to invest in my business, or my business is not like really a startup, it's something that I think I can just start from my house. I don't need to spend 3-4 months doing a business plan, and then also I don't always wait to have all the skills in place for me to do what I think I need to get into. And so if you think you've been waiting for all these things to be in place, I want to kind of burst your bubble and say those are myths. Just start with what you have. Start from where you are. Start with however much you have. I was just there's a lady that I saw her story. She started with $5. She turned $5 starting in a cupcake. She makes like the best cupcakes. She started with $5 and turned that into over 5 million. Now that was someone who was going through a lot of can I say transition in her life. She has a big family, all these things, but she managed to turn $5 into $5 million. And so I want to encourage you to start from where you are. Entrepreneurship is not hard. And so I want to thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for subscribing, and I want to encourage you to share this content so that it reaches out to many people. Thank you so much.